All right. I'm resuming, but very quickly, how to find a zoning. So the first thing I always look for a property is the zoning map. So in this case, in Salem, I just wrote Salem, Mass zoning map. And the first option that showed up brings me to this. These maps show all of the different districts. Thank you, Cesarina, for letting me know that I wasn't sharing. That's we're live, so that's what happens. So sometimes we don't know. So I need to know where that property is located. All of these colors represent different zonings. Different requirements are applied to different districts. Okay. So in this case, I just typically wrote Proctor on this. So it's actually just Control F, and the search engine shows up in here, the search tool. Then it shows Proctor. So I'm like, where is Proctor? So guess what? It's actually, you don't notice it well, but it's highlighting right here. Now you can see it. You see that? So if you are lucky enough to get a map that is PDF and smart, you can see. So this is very important. One side of Proctor has one color and another side of Proctor has another color. So you need to be very clear as to where you are, because the requirements will be different. So for this particular building that I was showing you before, that here it is, we are trying to add 2 units to it. And the difference of knowing whether you're adding 2 units by right, meaning that you are entitled, you are on the right district for that, versus non-conforming, which will require a zoning special permit in this case. That's the difference. You need to know where it is located. So Proctor, so we got one side and another side. So sometimes because this map is not clear enough for me to know whether I'm in one side or the other, I actually even go to Google and say 70 Proctor, Salem, Mass. And I go to the Google map and I confirm it. So I am on the side of, let's say, like Lonnie Avenue, Hillside, right here. That's the side where I am. So I'm gonna go back here, say, what side am I in? So Hillside, Heritage. So I think I'm in the blue, Proctor Street. I think that's where I am, but it's good to confirm it and make sure you know. So Hillside, Lonnie Avenue. And you cross-reference it to make sure you get it right. Pope Street. Pope Street. Yep. So I am certainly on that side, on the blue side. Okay. So, and I like to make sure that I'm exactly on the right side. So yeah, it is the blue side. What is the blue side? So you go back here to your map, and at the top, it says R1. I'm actually cheating because I knew this because we were applying for the permit already, but for the zoning already, but it's R1. And you're like, well, what does R1 even mean? You now go here and say Salem, Mass zoning ordinance. Okay. And each town has its own ordinance. Okay. Every town. I started this conversation in the previous recording saying that there's building code and zoning. Building code is a statewide requirement. Zoning is a local town requirement. So you will not use Lynn zoning ordinances to apply to a Salem zoning ordinance district requirement. All right. Sometimes they're actually very similar, but do not ever do that. That will be completely wrong. All right. Also, when you're looking for things, make sure that you write Salem, Mass. You see how I write Salem, Mass? Because there is Salem, Oregon, there is Salem, New Hampshire, there's multiple Salems. So want to make sure that you're doing it in the right town. So after that, it will open this thing called Municode. Thankfully, a lot of municipalities are using a similar software, so it's pretty easy to identify. And what I do here is that I look for the definition of the district. I want to understand what that is. So you could say, you know, R1. You could just type R1, and it would find a section where it explains what that is, what R1 is. Okay. So, but my favorite place is dimensional requirements. So the 2 most important things I have to deal with, maybe Marcos has another one, dimensional requirements and districts. Those are the ones I always like really need to know. So districts, if you click on districts, it brings you to this and R1 shows up, but I don't see the explanation of it. General requirements. So let's go. General requirements. This is that table, the dimensional requirements table. So R1, it tells you everything R1 is allowed to do or needs to comply with. One, in the minimum lot area has got to be 15,000 square feet. The minimum lot area per dwelling unit needs to be 15,000 square feet. The minimum lot frontage, 100. The minimum lot width. All of that stuff is very, very important. So we have to make sure that our site is compliant by this. But right now, all I'm looking for, and I'm going to keep this simple, is I wanted to know what district and what the definition of that district is, so that I know whether me adding 4 units to this building is by right or not. So R1, we have to understand the definition of it and see if it's allowed. But it tells you here, you know, all of the different things that it needs to comply with. So maximum lot coverage, 30%. Minimum depth of front yard, 15. Many of these things don't matter a whole lot for us to some extent, because we're doing it within the same footprint. So we're not increasing the footprint of the building. But this one is very important. Minimum lot area per dwelling unit. So if we're gonna have 4 dwelling units in here, it means that we're supposed to have 7,500 times 4, 30,000 square foot. We don't have that. So on the list of things that we're gonna require, we're gonna ask a special permit to allow a 2 additional families on a single family district. And also we're gonna need to allow, you know, we're not complying with the minimum lot area per dwelling unit and so forth. So that's one that we're not complying with. I'm sure also the setbacks on now we know these things too, because we have the drawings, guys. So we have the drawing, and in the drawing we have a site plan where we actually show you know, the setbacks. So we're not complying with the rear already. So that's another one, because 30 is required. So we're gonna ask for, you know, special permit to allow that, but also we're not complying with the 30-foot setback for the rear, because we're adding a dormer to it. It's an existing non-conforming structure, and Salem doesn't care that you're adding it within the same footprint. They want in here, they're saying you're adding to a non-conforming structure. That's it. So you're increasing the non-conformity. So, and this dormer is being created all the way here. You see it? So that whole portion is non-conforming. So, so with that said, you know, now we need to know the name of the district so that you know that this is not allowed to have 4 units. So let me see. So multifamily dwelling in R3 on lots under ownership. I want to just read the definition of R1. That's all. So that's all I'm looking for right now. Dimensional use regulations. Yeah, so use regulations right here tells you R1, it's allowed to have single family, yes. Dwelling 2 family, no. Dwelling multifamily, no. That's all. That's all we were looking for. Okay. So on this request that we are working on right now for 70 Proctor, we're going to say
residential multifamily.
yes. So we request the addition of 2 units on an existing non-conforming 2 family on a single family residential district, as well as relief for rear yard setbacks and minimum lot requirement size. That's it. Parking, we have parking. It looks like we have the parking. So, but that's pretty much it. And with that said, that was a quick finding zoning 101 for Salem. So then we're gonna continue with another section where we're gonna review a structure. Unless Marcos, you have something to add on the zoning part?
Yeah, I would like to mention too, guys, that you know, every zoning district, every town, depending on the project, if we need to do an addition, this is the first thing I would do. Is just to know, okay, what are my restraints, you know, what is it allowed? You're gonna find a lot of clients that come to you like, oh, I wanna do a 5-family here, and then you realize, oh my God, you are in a 1-family district, you know. So now you have to go through a different process. Also with accessory buildings like garages and things like that, sometimes their setbacks don't is a different setback for accessory buildings like garages and things like that. So just make sure you pay attention to that, because there will be a category different that says accessory buildings, meaning garages and things that are detached of the home.
Exactly. That's actually true. And I have one I'm opening right now that is a very good example of exactly what Marco said. So this client asked for this. This is, he asked for that, you know. We absolutely know he's not going to get that for an accessory structure. This is not an accessory dwelling, which is actually forbidden in some towns. This is just a garage, which is an accessory structure. Accessory structures are shed, garages, you know, little toolbox, you know, tool. Also sometimes showers, like outdoor little showers are accessory structures. Pool houses are accessory structures, things like that. So we got this one, and I model everything. So I should have not done exactly what he asked for, but I sometimes do it for a reason. I really want to like see how wrong he was. Like, dude, like you were wrong in everything, because they asked for everything: toilets, shop, you know, bedrooms, closets, all kinds of things. So they're probably gonna get half of all of that. So that's one. The first thing I should have done is a zoning study of this. Let me go to zoning, and it's exactly what I just showed you. Simple as that. Go through the district, go through the location. The table will look different, not just because it's a different town, but also because you're not gonna look at it on the main structures. There is an accessory structures. You see it, 3.2 accessory uses right here. So accessory uses, and it defines it. Accessory buildings and structures. It tells you garages, tool sheds. You see exactly what I showed you. So you have to make sure that you understand that, and you're gonna get that over time as you practice and understand. Even the height's different. Height requirements are different. Area requirements are different. So all of that, you know, they even tell you like it can never, you know, this one says not nearer than 10 feet, or it has to be nearer than 10 feet to. They have different requirements. All right. So that's that. And now, with that said, I'm going to jump into another section of this. It's just simply a quick review of some structural components on another project.